does that conversation happen about the state budget?
It starts in the early spring. We start looking at our budget, projecting, trying to figure out what it will be, what we're going to request, and then we start talking to the people that make the decisions. But it's never. It goes through summer. Sometimes it's not settled until the fall.
Okay.
So it's always when I go into a county budget cycle, I'm guesstimating on what my state budget's going to be. So when I'm telling the commissioners, this is my best guess. Every year I have to do that, and it's never. We don't have the hard numbers until now or fall. So that's where we're at right now.
Is there a way to fix that process? Why do you think it takes so long for that to kind of happen?
That's how it's always
Really?
been, and that's how it's always worked. It's been a guessing game and a best guess. We're usually pretty accurate because we know where we're at and we track that.
Yeah.
So we're never way off.
Gotcha.
But because of but it's how it's always been done. Do I think it's the best way to do it? No, I don't, because it's hard to project out and plan for sure when you don't know until the last minute.
So the headline on this is that the departments are losing money. So how much state money are we losing this year?
Locally,
Yeah.
I'm looking at a reduction of $425,000 a year, so $850 over the biennium, 25-27. So I'm going to have to look at filling that budget by making some cuts, some serious cuts, which are things I don't want to have to do.
That number is massive. Is that the largest cut you've seen in your tenure here?
Yeah. In my 13 years as director, 32 total with parole and probation department, this is the biggest cut I've seen.
What do you think was the next closest?
Well, it wasn't during when I've been director. I was a
Really?
PO back then.
Okay, wow.
So in the last 13 years, I haven't seen this.
So you mentioned cuts. Obviously, that's not what people want to hear. How many staff members do you currently have?
I have about 15 on the adult side.
15.
Yeah.
And you mentioned one retired. Who was that?
Our work crew supervisor, Paul Ross, retired.
And what were his duties?
He took out work crew people that were sanctioned in lieu of a jail response. We took them out on a work crew. They go work at the county parks, at the roads, out at the fairgrounds, for some of the municipalities, for some of the cities, down at the hatchery, would work at the hatchery, and or any public projects or anything that we could send them out on.
So the programs that he took them to, is that no more now?
We still have the option of work crew, but having a supervisor, we don't have that. So in order to send somebody to work site, we'd have to vet the work site, make sure they had somebody who could supervise the people there, and make sure the people we were sending are appropriate to go to that work site.
How many other, obviously this is still early in the process, how many other positions are you looking to have to let go?
I'm not sure. I'm going to eliminate a couple that we haven't filled first, obviously, and then I'm going to look at how far I have to go to meet that $425 reduction.
Have you had to make, I'm trying to ask this the right way, is this the largest amount of cuts you've ever had to consider?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the largest amount of cuts I've had to. We've had instances where we've had some, a retirement when we were facing a little bit of a shortfall, but nothing like this. This is much more significant.
You mentioned that this is kind of just coming about now because the real figures have just come out from the state.
Yes.
Did you see this coming in any kind of way, or is this completely blindside?
I was blindsided. We were optimistic that we were going to get fully funded, and the governor initially proposed full funding, and that was eliminated as it went through the process because the revenue wasn't there, and there was competing interests, and we didn't get what we asked for.
If we take a time machine back a little bit and this is going to happen, is there any way to plan for this, or was there any way to get yourself ahead of the ball?
I don't see a way based on the way the budgets are handled. I don't see how we can do that.
Gotcha. Are you expecting this to continue yearly for the numbers to just go down and lose more money? Or how did we get to the point now where we lost more than we ever had?
Well, I'm optimistic over time. We're funded based on our case count, the number of people that are actually on probation and parole. And with the reforms to ballot measure 110, the decriminalization of drugs, and those people are now being offered probation, deferred sentences, we're getting those cases. And so When we first lost the ability to supervise drug cases, we lost about 100 cases over time. So, and it impacts our funding because if they do a snapshot in October, November, and December of every year that determines how many cases each county has, and that goes into your funding formula, and then it comes up with a percentage, and whatever the statewide budget is, you get that percent.
So the amount of cases now, has that continued to go down in
It's gone down, but
previous years?
it's stabilized, and now I see it as going up. It won't help us in this budget cycle because that's already settled, but I'm optimistic in the future that I'm hoping we'll get more revenue if the state increases in revenue and can fund us. I'm optimistic because our case count, I believe, will go up.
Other than the cuts that we have to make, which are obviously devastating, are there any other plans that you need to take account of, or things that may need to change?
I'll need to increase the number of people that my POs are supervising. They'll have to have higher case counts, which isn't a best practice, but that's the reality of the situation. I mean, we may have a caseload of 45 or 50, it may go up to 60 or 70.
Is 45 to 50 the normal for
this county? Yes.
For this county?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. This was an interesting piece that I read. If fewer people, the number you mentioned has gone down. It's kind of starting to go up again. If we're dealing with less people than maybe we did last year, and the money went up slightly, how is the money from the state not covering the cost that we need?
Well, we have inflation. Everything goes up in cost. We have adjustments. Costs for employees go up. Rent goes up. Everything increases. So it doesn't keep up with the inflation and the amount that we're saving the state.
The state doesn't factor in
inflation? They factor in some of it, yeah.
Some of it,
yeah.
But not all of it.
It's not meeting our needs.
Gotcha.
I can say that, and that's consistent across the state.
For somebody who may be seeing this story for the first time, they're going to see that number and they're going to think, my goodness, that's a crazy amount. What do you think is the number one thing that the public needs to be aware of for this story?
Well, one of the things that we did years ago was the state was looking at building a new prison, and that would have cost $6 billion plus. In order to prevent having to build a new prison, they started implementing programs which we worked with the state to get people out of prison early if they could safely get them out. And we diverted and didn't have to build a new prison. In fact, they closed one. They closed the prison here. So we saved billions of dollars, and so it's a drop in the bucket, the amount we save for the state of Oregon with our partnership with them to not build new prisons and to work with the inmate population that we have and to manage people safely in the community.
Awesome. I think that's all my questions for today. Is there anything else you'd like to mention? Maybe something that I haven't asked that you believe is important to this story?
I believe we're a good bang for the buck. For the amount it costs to supervise people, it's to incarcerate somebody is hundreds of dollars a day, and if we can supervise them safely in the community, it's a great investment for the taxpayer. And we've seen huge turnarounds for people that we supervise. I mean, there's case studies where people are clean and sober, working, that at one time were facing a prison sentence, got a diverted sentence, and we worked with them and saved all that cost, and we got a human life that's a contributing member of society. There's lots of those that I could point to.
Let's get more into that number a little bit, because I think that's interesting. The cost is around $18 for each person, and I believe you got 15
Yes.
from the state, correct?
Yes.
So how does that factor in? Has that number gone up in recent years, or has that gone down in maintaining?
The previous biennium was 13.
Okay.
So they did give us an increase.
Gotcha.
Just not what the cost study says it should be.
In a perfect world, is that the 18 that we need? Is that the sweet spot, or is there maybe, do you think, just a little bit more they could give to get you stable?
I think we can meet our needs with the 18. I believe that.
Gotcha.
That's what we've looked at, and that's what we've come up with. And so I believe we'll be able to cover everything we need to cover and safely supervise these people in the community.
Has this continued to be a problem, the state funding in recent years?
It's been pretty stable until now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the blind side is, hey, we haven't seen this in a long time.
Yeah. Okay. The revenue reductions at the state level, and so, yeah, and so we were optimistic until this.